I'm very honored that he is on the show, and this will probably be the last time he comes on the show. But we are very honored to have special guests. Do you want to hint at it and kind of spoil it? I guess is the theme
Um,
start? No.
I mean, he's the
I'm
hashtag
I'm
spoiler man.
I'm
So
also live on Jithan's got has my webcam up already, so I guess it's known I'm here.
well,
It's that top notch production value that why we are number one at our time slot. Just it
geez.
all weaves seamlessly. I
Oh
like to,
man, you guys didn't tell me I was gonna be on cam though. I shaved today. It's been a while since I've been baby faced. Now I'm
it
mad
looks
I
good.
shaved.
Looks good.
Now
To be fair,
looking
Welcome,
well.
Adonis. I'm very pleased to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be
as
here,
am I.
guys. I'm excited that you guys have started a talk show for Hand of the Gods. Think it's going to be exciting, and I'm hopeful that you guys will keep this through, running for who knows how long. Stop giving me those eyes, com guys.
Years,
Yeah, I
years.
mean, no, you know, for someone of your stature to be here is a real big honor, and we hope to do you justice and the game justice. And we have a bunch of questions, but before we do that, I guess we can just go right into the conversation because we're here. So, just for those of you that don't, for the people that are just joining us or watching the show, that see you do the weekly developers commentary and
Mhm.
tell us a little about yourself. Like, what brought you into Smite and specifically Hand of the Gods?
Yeah, so I was a competitive Smite player for I don't know 6 months to a year, back in 20 late 2012 and then early 2013, most of 2013. I ended up working the launch tournament with Hi-Rez back in 2014 of Smite. They liked what I did. I kind of got brought on to the start of the Smite Pro League with a few other people. I did production work. And it was like a three-man team plus one admin and then two casters for the Smite Pro League. And it kind of grew from there. Jumped into commentating, and then I did the talent lead in esports management 2016 last year. And then I kind of wanted to get onto the development side of games, which was always really interesting to me. And maybe, you know, had I gone a different route in my career, had I never got a chance to do esports, I may never have been able to been on to be on this side of the development of a game. So I was like, I think there's a lot for me to learn there and something that I'm really passionate about. So I jumped over to Hand of the Gods when that kind of started up this year.
So, did you play a lot of like Magic the Gathering or any kind of card games before?
I lightly played Magic the Gathering. I've played a lot of tactical games and kind of board games growing up, so I did a lot of that side. I've played, I played Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh growing up, Hearthstone, and a little bit of Magic. I don't think I ever like fully committed to a single card game, but I definitely have a lot of experience throughout the years of kind of trying a variety of them. So I thought it was very interesting us taking the Smite universe since that was something that I played Smite for since 2012 and kind of put a new spin on it in a tactical board game style. So it's something that's very interesting to me, mostly from my love of Smite more than anything else.
What role did you play when you played competitively?
Played
Like
support.
mid support. Wait, for what org?
I played for Vexed was my first org with Panda Beyond, and then Denial, and then Reason Gaming. So yeah, my first competitive team was actually Panda Beyond, MLC Stealth, Omega, and I can't even remember his name anymore. There was another one. I feel
Oh,
really bad because I normally remember it, but I can't anymore. But yeah, I like to think that that was the best team ever, obviously because I was on it with a bunch of other world
yeah,
champs.
yeah.
Right,
So
yeah. So do you still? I mean, do you still play competitively, or now you don't
no,
so much time?
no. I haven't played competitively since I joined Hi-Rez. First off, obviously I wasn't allowed to. I played. I got the itch. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and I played a bunch of like Smite Prime tournaments, along with some other community tournaments, with a former teammate of mine, Peckies, who works in production at Hi-Rez. For the SPL, and then that was kind of it. We just kind of stomped a bunch of um, challenger teams and felt good about ourselves, but we didn't keep it up for long. We lost once real bad, and then Pecky's rage quit, and then we just stopped doing it.
It's interesting you mentioned that you play a lot of board games. So did I. Now, of course, I'm from an ancient time where we didn't have computers,
Oh,
so it really hits my wheelhouse. But like, I think Hand of the Gods is so awesome and great because it does have a distinctive board game feel. Is there any particular a board like chess? Is there any particular board game that you kind of it harkens you back to, or is just kind of just a generic strategy feel you love about it?
I think it's yeah. I really enjoy the strategy and kind of the. I've always enjoyed like the premonition, right? Where it's like, based on how he's playing, based on how my opponent's playing, kind of what do I think they have in their hand, what style of deck are they running, and kind of being able to, a lot of players when it comes to strategy games will just kind of think in the moment, and I've always enjoyed the aspect of trying to think ahead as much as possible, and not win demon suicide myself, but that's a whole nother topic.
And so when you think about Hand of the Gods, it's still relatively new on the scene and it's developing as we go. Like, what are you most excited about in the game currently, and what are some of the things that you're excited about in the future?
I'm really excited just to see how the game has developed over time. I was actually looking back at some old stream VODs just to see my stream and feel good about myself and my bump my ego. But I actually had some streams back when we were known as Smite Tactics, and kind of just seeing the growth of the game, not only the mechanics of it, but just the visual representation. I'll have to I'll go back when you guys are talking about something else and share the VOD in chat. But it just visually, it's so much improvement, and it's weird because Hi-Rez as a studio, we believe in a very fast development cycle. Just so players are always getting something fresh and new, and to know that stuff is happening and that we're actively working on and developing and polishing all of our products. And then I didn't, it's kind of like I'm looking back at VODs from April, May, and I'm like, man, I can't even remember that because I'm just with the game so much, and it doesn't happen in kind of like one patch, right? Everything just gets improved patch by patch by patch by patch. I'm like, I didn't even realize how big of a jump we had made um, in the development of this game, especially with kind of the team size we have on Hand of the Gods, and that we have come such a long way in only the span of 6 to 7 months. I know Comcast could probably attest to it too. He played back then, so it's the
Hashtag
game has
bring
come a
back
long
Athena
way.
taunt right there.
Oh
Hashtag bring
man.
back Athena taunt. Those are the best days where you could you would use their lead you would use the god ability every other turn, and Athena's was just the most broken stuff in the world. It was so
Yep.
much fun.
Oh yeah, abilities too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, kind of think about this conversation we're talking. And Comcast, I know some Comcast fans. There are a lot of Comcast fans out there. He has some questions.
I'm
He's
sorry.
gonna weave it. Yeah, no, he's gonna weave it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, right. And so we're just kind of, he had some viewer questions. We are gonna get to those. For those of you that are patiently waiting, we do appreciate it. Do you have is there a particular pantheon that stands out to you as one of your particular favorites, or do you just love them all?
I love them all, right? I enjoy them all for for their own reasons. I'd say Chinese has always probably been one of my favorites, and then Norse as well. I actually really, a few patches ago, I was playing like a big Norse deck that me and Strixus had kind of theory crafted and was doing really well. That was actually how I was actually climbing the ladder for a little bit before the reset. What are
So
you laughing at, Comcast? I see you
yeah.
snickering over there.
I actually I dislike Chinese and Norse, and I like Greek and Mayan and Roman. So
I
it's
dislike you, so it's okay.
Tension.
tension intensifies. Yeah.
And if you had a vision for Hand of the Gods, where I know we're coming up on Hi-Rez qualifier, definitely want to talk about that. But where do you want Hand of the Gods to be? What is your ultimate? If you had one goal for
Oh
Hand of the
man.
Gods?
To be the most successful game there ever was, obviously. I mean,
I
that's not an easy undertaking to do. Um, but I feel like there is no immediate jump. I just think it's just going to be the same as it has been over the past 6 months. Just always every patch, every 2 weeks, look on what we can improve, what we can do more of. I think the game right now has finally entered a state. Um, where we're not happy, but we're content with what's in the game itself. I mean, we just introduced a new mode. We've had ranked for a while, and we didn't have kind of all the features we have now 6 months ago. But I think now is like, okay, this is kind of the starting point for the game, and we're content with where we're at. What can we look on improving and polishing as we move forward to the future? We'll definitely want to re-hit some of the old stuff that we've introduced into the game, but that's a little bit more down the line. And then obviously
yeah.
content as well. We always want to bring in new content every patch.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick shout out because I think it was like yesterday or the day before on stream. I clicked that play button and I just like I just realized I'm like, yo, there's so much stuff for like a content creator and players to do now. It's like I remember back when there was no arena, it was just ranked or play, and now it's like I have these options. So I guess that's a thank you to Adonis right there. Hashtag not blame Adonis for that one.
I don't know if it was me who did the stuff, but I sure talked about it.
Well, yeah, you talked about it. You exposed it to the community. So
I
obviously, like it's really enjoyable to like build like these weird AF pauper decks, and you're like, okay, how do I like what cards would I never use? Do I put in this deck? And it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it for the past couple of days.
Yeah, I've been playing CCGs for a long time, ever since Magic, and I've played almost every CCG that I have had access to. I was actually a part of Smite Tags when it first released, and I've come back hardcore here in the last few months, and I just love the game. And I actually have to say, this new mode is fantastic. What I love about CCGs for me is just deck building. Love taking an idea, just
Yeah.
assembling a deck, and then putting it in play. And one of my major complaints is an old Grumposaurus, and that's horrible, I know. But is I don't like net decking too much. Not a big fan of net decking, so I think it takes away a lot of the creativity in a game. But these new modes are phenomenal, and I just want to say that this new game mode is top notch. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we're really excited about the Gauntlet and kind of the other, other thing. I mean, we have a list of different game modes and variants that we want to do. If you ever have any suggestions, though, make sure to tweet us. We'll always look to do more.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so Comcast, I believe you had some important, hard-hitting questions before we get into the high-res
Yeah,
qualifier.
Hard hitting questions. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me hear hard hitting questions, Comcast.
So yesterday, I actually I tweeted out the day before, but I was like yesterday I was doing a stream where the viewers would post questions to chat. They wanted me to ask you, and the winner of that would get a Halloween pack, right? So I'm actually gonna ask like a couple additional questions to the winner,
Okay.
but I'll just go ahead and say congratulations to 111 Nerden for winning the question contest, and this was his question. As someone who worked on the game, what is your perspective seeing the game come to life, playing it yourself, and trying out mechanics you whilst in making? Then also seeing some players utilize some parts of the game you didn't even think about.
You keep cutting out. Restate. Do the first one first. Let me
Okay,
do one question at a time.
gotcha. As someone who worked on a game, what is
Okay.
your perspective seeing the game come to life, playing it yourself, and trying out mechanics whilst in the making?
Oh yeah, no, that's super fun, right? Because there's a ton of stuff that we'll experiment and try and be like, this is bad, uh, or we'll be like, this is amazing. And then there's this notion also that you're always going to get it right on the first time, and that's very far away from the high res development cycle to begin with. I know it's kind of generic, right? But we have 10 principles at high res for
Oh.
making games, and one of them is get stuff out early to the players. I mean, we still are only in open beta. A lot of people feel like, and sometimes people judge our game too on being this fully released, fully launched game, but we like to get the alpha as soon as we can into players' hands, which was kind of the beginning of this year, right after the 2017 HRX. And it's been really exciting to see it grow and to be able to play test and kind of see what works, what doesn't. I'll give you one key example, right? And obviously it's much different trying things when it's only 3 to 4 people play testing.
Yeah.
Even if you play test something for weeks, compared to having hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of players all trying things and breaking it and abusing them within 24 hours sometimes. I'm gonna pick out one god because she has changed a lot in that Soul, right?
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
we've experimented a lot with Soul. She was a ranged cleaver, and just to summarize it really quickly, we have figured out that ranged cleave is a mechanic that doesn't really work in our game. And it took us trying many different variants and different styles and buffing and nerfing her to really come to that solid conclusion on our end, where there probably won't be that many ranged cleavers, if ever, back in the game, just because it kind of inherently breaks the nature of it when people spawn units and they could be immediately hit by someone attacking the summoning stone. Another thing is guard, right? We found out that melee guard doesn't really work. It's kind of counterintuitive to not only the guard mechanic, but also melee units in themselves, where, well, you're fighting between your own thing where it's like, I don't know if I should go and attack because now I'm losing this guard mechanic. Sure, there's options that you can change it. But a lot of that just kind of took a lot of development time and trying different units and trying different things. So it's been exciting to me to be able to see that and kind of understand the mind of a designer too. Watching Scott Gandhi and Austin Gallman kind of go through theirs. I get to be in meetings every once in a while. I get to come to Balance as well. I'm not a designer myself, but it's very interesting seeing and understanding their thought process about everything. Coming from a competitive background, it's something it took me a very very long time to break my competitive nature when it came to thinking about games, and I still am bad with it to this day sometimes. Games are not designed for competitive players most of the time. You always want to keep competitive players in your thoughts. You never want to make things too crazy, but you want to design stuff and create stuff for as many players as possible to enjoy, and then you take notes from the competitive scene and kind of have things specifically for them, as well as not allow things to go too crazy, that they're just so imbalanced. And we at Hi-Rez are, very good about, if something does get too crazy, we put it in check. That's been the same for Smite, and it's been the same for Hand of the Gods. I know the most recent balance patch, a lot of players have been happy with. So I expect that to just keep continuing forward.
I guess then the other part of the question was I think you already touched on this a bit,
Okay.
but was seeing how some players utilize parts of the game that you don't even that may have not occurred to you, right?
Yeah. It's always exciting to see people break stuff, but it's also like, damn. Depends how they break it, right?
Yeah.
But there are mechanics that players. I'm trying to think of a good example. It's so hard to just think of a single one, but there's been a lot of stuff that people have tried that we were like, oh wow, we didn't really think about that. But it's the thought comes, is it too broken, right? Is it
Yeah.
fine? Is it fun? I will say it's always fun seeing that, right? Because people try and experiment with things a number of ways, and I still think for Hand of the Gods, it's a meta that's not solved or defined, as some people may think. Just kind of seeing, I think it's Mezolji and Arlo come in. These guys were competitive players from another game. I can't remember whether it was Duelist or Shadvat. Duelist, yeah. And within the matter of weeks, they're the ones winning tournaments. And you go, okay, well, did the other people that have been playing for 6 months have a solved meta like they thought? Probably not. So I still think there's a lot to go. And I also think as we introduce more varied mechanics, especially in a game like ours that has movement and blocking and a lot of other small niche things that typical card games don't have, you're going to find people trying and experimenting new ways. And I don't want to say that there'll never be a solved meta, but I think our meta will be a little bit more malleable than other traditional CCGs will, just because of that.
Yeah, like I always hate going into games just like sheerly because like if there's a set meta, I know exactly what they're gonna have. Like that's not entertaining. A lot of the entertaining aspect is what did this person tech into their deck that I'm not gonna have any way of like predicting. And that it's that like that's why arena's a lot of fun sometimes. Cause you're like, wait, why'd you put this card in your deck? But you're like, oh wait a minute, it's a draft. You have no idea what you're gonna get. So
yeah, my favorite card from this patch was Aegean Outcast because I think it's going to shake up the type of things people could do, and also break one mechanic that we had to hotfix very quickly. A little bit of Armored Behemoth.
Yeah, Armored Behemoth. Yeah, I think to piggyback what you said, I totally agree with the meta being very static in this one because not only do you have the cards and the different decks you can build, but also the positioning is huge. So you can have, if you outposition somebody and just simply outplay them on board, which is something other games simply don't have, you can win games just by playing after you play cards, which is so unique to this game. I really, really enjoy it about that.
actually, I got like a couple more questions for you. Hopefully, they won't take up too much of the time. But
I can shorten my answers.
Okay, Super Saiyan Dennis asks. Now, this is a really complex one, so you'll have to hear me out. It's gonna take a little while to ask. It says, ask Adonis if he likes broccoli.
I'm not like I don't love broccoli, but I eat broccoli. It's a matter
Yeah, I
of
like
like if I'm
asparagus.
trying to be healthy, like sure I'll eat some broccoli. I'm not like yes broccoli.
Well, then what's your favorite veggie then? Like, if you have to pick
My
one vegetable to eat, what's your favorite?
forever like only one.
No, oh,
Probably
I mean, like if you have a choice, which one do you choose?
I'm a fan of like corn, onions, peppers. Generally the greens I'm not the biggest fan of, like broccoli, celery, Brussels sprouts. Like I'll eat them,
Asparagus is the best.
but
Asparagus, hands
I can
down.
I can get down for some asparagus. I can get
Grilled
roasted
asparagus, or
asparagus.
even, yeah.
Roasted.
No,
See,
no,
these
okay.
are the hard hitting
Roasted and
questions.
actually no, you're right. Grilled is best. Roasted's up there though.
Yeah. My boy Raven asks, will there be a Hand of the Gods PTS in the future that will like let you test out new cards, games, mechanics changes, like very similar to what you
Yeah.
have in Smite? You
We
will?
answered this
Okay.
on the Dev Q&A, I believe Austin did. If we didn't, it was on the list, and I'll blame Joshua for it for not asking it. In the future, maybe. But
Yeah.
for kind of the scope of our game right now, no. That's something more as we get further along in development and closer to a potential launch, or after a launch that we would do something like that, but not right now.
Yeah. Well, I got one more question, and this is from my boy Skay. He says, ask Adonis if they can show, like this is an idea, right? If you have the potential of showing new cards to pro players before they add it in the game, so they can like make sure it's not too OP.
Maybe that's not a call I would make.
Yeah.
I can bring that up though.
Okay. And then obviously, this is of all the questions I've asked, like all of them accumulate to like a value of like 5 or 10 on the Richter scale, whilst mine's like 11.
Okay.
So if you had to have one, like I'm talking like one ultimate, like not just like a half one, I'm talking about a singular one, waifu from Hand of the Gods, what would it be, or who would it be?
That's a question that might take a little bit of time to think about.
Yeah, it's important though.
Told you to be hard hitting. I'm telling you, the broccoli question into waifu, you're seeing a definite.
But
You don't get these questions everywhere.
Maybe
This is like-
Nuwa. Maybe.
ooh, Adonis the Nuwa type of guy. Okay.
Because she
Okay.
seems like she'd have like a bit of an attitude, right? But like
Mhm.
the healthy attitude,
Okay.
like keep me in line attitude, because I need it. I need someone to keep me in line.
Whoa, Adonis going in.
Not like that.
Whew, hot
So
and
to segue
steamy.
back into all right, for that one, I had a question. So I've heard a lot of great things about the High Res Expo. There's really no good way to segue out of this. In the High Res Expo, what can you tell people that are new to High Res what to expect from the High Res Expo? What can we see from Hand of the Gods there? Is there anything kind of you'd like to kind of talk about?
Yeah.
Preview?
It's interesting because Hi-Res Expo, right? At first it was the Smite World Championship back in 2015 January, and then the year after that, I think it was Hi-Res Expo, or it still might have been
I
Smite.
think it was 2016 because I've gone the
It was
2
Hi-Res
past
Expo in
years.
2016. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's interesting because we're actually developing into more of like a high res con, right? Which is really exciting for me because when I first started at high res, it was just Smite, right?
Right.
For me, and then we've got Paladins now, and now Hand of the Gods, and Jetpack Fighter and the other mobile games, and so we're kind of growing and growing as a studio. I was number 70 at our company, I believe, somewhere around there, and now we're at 400 plus in the span of the past 3 years. So
Wow.
it's really exciting to me to see the
That's awesome.
our ultimate world championship / expo develop into a true expo as we've gone along. So I really think if you're just there for Hand of the Gods, I really suggest checking out Smite and Paladins and kind of all the other games we have and kind of getting a feel for us as a company. I will say we're going to have an open bracket there. We're going to have details coming out relatively soonish about that. Soonish trademark, as I typically do. Always want to get it out as soon as possible, but obviously we need to be 100% on everything before we get into your hands. We don't want to have to go back on something that we say. But open bracket's going to be there, going to be really exciting, and we're going to have the 8 players as well that have qualified beforehand, which was Pot Pie, and then we're going to have the 6 online qualifiers, which I think we're going to talk about soon, and then a
Yes.
qualifier for Paris Games Week. So then we're gonna have the Founders Tournament there after. Open bracket's gonna seed down to 8, and then they'll face off against the free qualifiers, and then we're gonna have a lot of exciting Hand of the Gods action.
So for the open bracket, do you just like show up and you compete, kind of on that level, or?
Yeah, we're gonna have some early sign up forms released to our current players first to guarantee their spots. Just as a little bit of insight. So if you're a competitive player, don't worry about not being able to make it. We're gonna get that to you guys before we release to the public.
Awesome.
That's
Well,
amazing. So is this like a sorry, Comcast.
no, you're good. You're good.
Is this so for y'all for the staff? Is the High Res Expo a celebration? Is it hard work? Is it like the Super Bowl? Is it what's the?
It's both, right? It depends on what you're doing as well. It is 100% a celebration for us. It's really exciting because it's one thing to interact and see fans and hear these players talk about it on Twitch or YouTube. It's another thing that everyone's there and really excited about high res, whether it's Smite Paladins or now Hand of the Gods. So it is really exciting. Now for me, I've done production work for it. I've casted for it, and now I'm going to be probably running the open bracket in the Founders Tournament for it. So I've done a wide array. It's always work for me. It's always very early mornings and very late nights, but it's kind of a fun. It's the most fun I have working at the same time because it's just a bunch of fans that are there and super excited about kind of what we do in our day to day.
Yeah, like I've actually been the past 2 years, like I mentioned before. Both times I've had an absolute blast. But this year, most excited though, because Hand of the Gods gonna be there, and being like a community streamer of it, like I can. It's like I'm really excited because it's like all these people from my chat and just like from the like even on the caster side to even just the viewer side that aren't part of my chat. They're all like a lot of these voices are saying that they're going, and it's just I cannot wait to like have this awesome Hand of the Gods like group of people. It's just I can't wait, man. I'm excited, honest. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's some. I've had a chance to meet or talk to a lot of the casters or streamers of Hand of the Gods. All of them phenomenal, like really great quality people that cast it, that do some Twitch, some great work. So I'm excited about the people. So we had a question. So high res qualifiers. Can you tell us a little about that? I know that it's Smite Prime. By the way, for those of you watching right now on Smite Prime, please hit that follow button. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Jithan does a lot of great hard work behind the scenes. So please, hit that follow button. We do some content with this every week. But the high res qualifiers, like specifically, can you tell us a little about it? Can you give us a little? What are you excited about?
Yeah, you can head on over to handofthegods.com and read all about it. No, but for real, I kind of like the format we're going with, which is kind of a win or go home thing,
Yeah.
but you have 6 chances. I'm always a fan of, and I think our company president said this, right? I've always been a fan of like single elimination. Now this is going to be double elimination, but kind of the harkens back to NCAA and March Madness, right? It's one of the most. No one cares about college basketball unless you go to a college, right, and you care about basketball. But for the most part, the world doesn't care about it at all. But everyone watches March Madness because every single game, everything is on the line. And so I'm really excited for the HRX qualifiers where it's like you have to win the tournament or you don't qualify. But you get 6 chances progressively over the weeks. So what's going to happen is it's going to be 128-man bracket, double elimination. We're starting it an hour earlier, obviously, because we expect to have a much larger group of players than we have for our previous fall circuit events. And it's going to be the first 128 checked in, so make sure to wake up early. And the reason for that is it's not fair to give one or other person priority. We will have a list of players that have competed in the fall circuit and done well. That'll be guaranteed registration if they check in by, I believe it's 9:15. Those details are on there. Just kind of giving a little bit of love, like, hey, you guys have been the competitive players that have been playing and been successful throughout the fall circuit. We want to guarantee get those guys in since they're the ones that are obviously more than likely to win. But I know we have some new players that didn't compete in the fall circuit. Some card game players like Bradford Lee. I've been watching his stream. I think he's a competitive Magic player that's going to be competing in this one. So we want to give a little bit of love to the people that have been playing, and I'm going to be really excited to see kind of the new players that have experience in other CCGs come in and try and beat them.
And that's going to be on. It's going to be streamed on Hand of the Gods and Smite Prime, correct? I think both brackets on all those weekends.
Yeah, so just because there's going to be so many games, we're going to have. Oh, sorry, I'm losing focus. We're going to have so many games. I obviously didn't want to limit the amount that people could watch, so I hit up Jithins and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to stream the lower bracket or some of the other games?" So we're going to have 2 streams going on. We'll have the top bracket for sure streamed on Hand of the Gods Twitch channel, and then we'll be coordinating with Jithins and Smite Prime to bring some other games from the lower bracket. Lower bracket might be more interesting to watch though, just because it's like winner, like these people, if they lose, they're out.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like the Thunderdome.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Thunderdome at Smite Prime. So
yeah, like I mean, obviously, I'm not like I'm just excited just to watch because like the losers bracket, there's a certain sense of gravity to it because like they have such a long road ahead if they're gonna win the tournament. But at the same time, it's still like a possible chance. Like even you'll see this like in Smash tournaments, how people will come from the losers bracket, work all the way up, and take the win, which is something that like obviously like I would love to cast and stuff. So
yeah, I mean I'm looking forward to it as well. I think talked about it, Smite Prime, the casters. I think I'm a part of that team. I'm very excited to be a part of it. Very honored to be a part of it. So looking forward to it. So I know you've taken a lot of your time and you have been here with us. And Adonis, seriously, thank you.
No problem.
I know Comcast hinted at it, but is there anything you want to share with us?
Oh
man,
man,
put you on the spot, right? I mean, I feel like I just got to put you on the spot.
Hashtag spoiler.
I hate to do it, but I did.
Oh man. So we are always looking at what we're doing update wise. Obviously we patch every 2 weeks. We're gonna have patch notes this Wednesday. We're kind of switching. Oh god, man, we're kind of switching it up. And we're gonna have kind of bigger releases every 4 weeks, or every month, and then the patch in between that, it's gonna be smaller content and more focused on polish. So we have a smaller content patch coming out, but I will say there is at least 2 units, a Norse god, maybe Fafnir, maybe Fafnir's dragon. However, it's a separate unit, so we might be having Fafnir and Fafnir's dragon as 2 different units, and I'm really excited. It's going to be something that does interfere with Annihilation and Blight, I believe. Maybe helps out Norse aggro, but it's a little bit of a later game card. You'll see though. Watch patch notes.
Okay.
Yes, everybody should watch Fast. And I want to thank you, Adonis, for being a part of the show and on your Sunday. And for me personally, it's a huge honor to finally talk to you and meet you. And so thank you.
It was so great for you to be here, Dad. Hopefully, we didn't scare you away and you'll come back another time.
Oh, I've dealt with you long enough by this point.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to look at the week that was. I think it was an exciting week in Hand of the Gods. We had our first show, kind of perfect timing. This great patch just hit. Gauntlet came out. So Comcast, if you had to give me your week that was synopsis, what are you thinking? Where do you?
I mean,
what did you think of the first week?
The first week, if you were on my stream, I was actually relatively salty in some ways because the meta is in such uphill right now. Like there's just so much going on in terms of people are trying to find what's good and what's not good. Like even some of the every time a patch notes comes out, people are already predicting what's going to be like. Oh, this is definitely going to be in the meta. But even like as I found, that wasn't really true. Like I was finding a lot of unexpected Greek, and that was kind of an issue for Salt. But for the most part, I think the balance has definitely helped. There was a lot of quality balancing that aided the game in a positive manner. But obviously, the meta being in just a kind of a tremorous state, if you get what I mean. It's exciting to play ranked, but it also has this level of almost frustration to play ranked because you don't know what to expect.
But Wildcard are yes, kind of good, right? So I think what you're saying is that the meta was shaken up significantly by these cards.
Yeah,
right?
and people are trying to get readjusted to what you should be playing in your ranked, and that's something that is like it's a very interesting experience because when you look at a lot of the other card games out there, like the metas get shaken up for like 1 or 2 days, or like even like 4 days, and then they're already back to the original state. But it's almost like with the patch, it's been going on way longer than that, and it's still in this constant state of flux. So
See, that's kind of I think there's two distinct ways of doing it. I see a lot of CCGs doing, right? They have the every 3 months or so we're going to release 200 cards. Not to mention names, but know who those card games are. And then there's kind of releasing 20 or 30 at certain pockets or intervals. I think that's very. Which one do you think is better? If it's just for me to give you a little spot, I like 20 or 30 cards at a time.
yeah.
I think it gives everything a way to kind of slowly shift the meta while working in these new cards. But where do you stand on that?
I mean, I, when you look at like the majority of card games, especially ones that are like much bigger than this one. I mean, I'm talking about like card volume size. It's
Right.
relatively impractical to add 15 cards at a time, right? So what you see a lot of the companies doing is they do expansion based, like with card games. So I mean personally, I believe the Hand of the Gods will kind of go in that direction eventually. Probably not like again like not immediately, but eventually they will. So on that aspect, like I think they'll go that way. I would assume so because I will say adding 10 to 15 cards like is it's almost a little bit taxing because like for example when I always refer like when I talk about patch notes to like Smite, which is another high res game, right? Where it's like you can make a small tweak and that doesn't really do anything. But in this game, if you change a singular number, let alone a card, that shifts everything. It makes it like makes a non-viable pantheon viable, and this is a very difficult. It's almost tedious on the players to constantly try and try to figure out like what's good. So all that being said, I do think the 30 to 40 by Adonis, 30 to 40 is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like it. I think well for me the biggest addition of this patch of our first show to our second show has been Gauntlet. I don't know if you got a chance to play it a lot. I've seen on stream you played some.
I played some. I played some.
I love it. I think it's one of the best game modes I've seen in a CCG of any CCG honestly. And I've had some other I've liked some other CCGs, but I think it's great. I think it just really emphasizes creativity.
It emphasizes creativity because like I mean, I will say there's a certain high level of frustration with the gauntlet. Because if you were on my stream last night, I got to 7 wins, and then I just got the worst starting hand, and I lost within like turn 7, and that was very frustrating to get to 7 wins, almost there, and then you end up losing. But on that like note, it's still very fun. And I do like originally I was kind of against the whole 1 time a day thing because I thought that was very restrictive. But in retrospect, I think it's actually a very it's like a very quality thing, honestly, because like what you get right is it allows you almost time to think but it's not a grind now. It's a very calculated like you can't just go in there and spam your deck and see what works. You have to think before you act, and that's something I love thinking games, believe it or not. I
Yeah.
love that. So I can't wait. I
No,
thought
did
it
you
was
ever? Did you ever? I don't know if in your generation. I hate to once again. I'm older. Did you ever go to like a draft pack? Have you ever been to like a? Do you ever go to a card store like on a? Okay, so
I
I
saw
was
a
when I
card
was.
store walking home once at UGA. I don't remember yet.
Okay, well, back in my day, we would go to like a card store on a Saturday, and then you'd have a draft pack. You open up different packs, and then you just play whatever you had. So in that case, it was just kind of deck creation on the spot, go, best person win. I think this harkens back to that kind of okay, and it's very intense. Like you lose your die. It's almost like a tournament. It's like a tournament feeling inside of a casual experience. So I think it's a
Oh, okay.
very yeah. I think it's very cool. So Adonis has left, and we had that great conversation. I thought it was. How do you think it went?
I'm ecstatic to
Yeah.
realize that Adonis's waifu is Nuwa because now I'm going to in my own stream after this. I'm gonna pick apart and analyze every part of Nuwa to find out why Nuwa is Adonis's waifu. Like I can't wait. I'm so ready, man.
I thought we had a little spoiler. We had a little,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty big one actually.
Fafnir.
Yeah.
Uh, if Fafnir aids aggro Norse, I'm going to baby rage intensely.
I think it was hilarious that would be the one for you. I know how much you love Norse aggro. I know you love it so much. For
Best
that to be the card.
best strategy ever. Best strategy ever.
Of course it is. So yeah, I was very, very excited. And for those of you that watch the show and watch it on YouTube, and hopefully one day it'll be a podcast. Hint, Jithens. Hopefully you can see that we kind of came in right at the right time. You have a little bit about the High Res Expo, the qualifiers.
Yeah.
And Smite Prime's going to host the elimination brackets, the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Very excited. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very, very cool. So you've been to the High Res Expo. We kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what are you looking for? I mean, besides Hand of the Gods, I mean, do you a little bit about you here? Do you play any other? And you played Smite.
Yeah. Like I think I mentioned this like a little while ago, but like I said, like real quick, I played I say very attentively semi-competitive Smite. So like I was trying to get in the scene, and then kind of backed off. And so long story, I have a large background in Smite. So for the past 2 years, I went primarily for Smite, and I was excited, But I guess I have the authority to say this, but being like a community figure almost, or like a community member that's like of a very tight knit, awesome, fantastic community like Hand of the Gods, this year is going to be like 10 times better than the past years because I have all these people I can't wait to hang out with and at least I'll be actually competing myself, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully I'll get to compete myself. And it's just I think it's just the fact that Hand of the Gods is gonna be there, and it's not even the tournament alone. It's just when you have it's like I mentioned this to my friends for the past years. When you have a group of people all attending one spot for a singular reason or like a singular game like Smite or like Hand of the Gods, you just get excited, man. It's awesome just to chill with people that you may not know their name or where they're from, but they like this game, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, matter of fact, one of our Smite Prime cohorts, the kind of little segue here. I know Sinbreed's going. And so Sinbreed 90, if you haven't had a chance, follow him on Twitter. He's actually going to be doing a weekly spot with us, where he's going to do a little tactical analysis of the game. So starting our next show, which is going to be interesting because we don't really know what our next show is going to be doing.
Yeah, because the HRX qualies, are on Sunday, and we don't know how long this are going to go, especially since I'm not confirming anything, but I believe like we'll be casting the entire lower bracket, right? Or
Right.
at least to some degree, we'll be casting late into the evening. So, like, and it's gonna be a lot. You really can't jam pack it. So I think there were rumors of it floating around on Thursday or Friday, but for the most part, it's still up in the air, right?
We are up in the air. It's really on Jithens because he's very, very busy, very super busy. Hashtag blame Jithens. No, he's very, very busy. So we don't know exactly what day it's going to be. We follow at Comcast employee on Twitter, or at Shifu the Cards on Twitter. We'll give you constant updates on when the next show will be, and it'll feature Sinbreed's Corner. We haven't had a full name for it yet, but keep posted on that. I just want to say that in. And then the high res qualifiers themselves, we will hopefully be part of a lot of the casting of it. I'm very excited to be cast with you for that. If you had to give I think on our next show we'll do like who we think is going to win, stuff like that. But if you, I just had like sound like a big.
You're good.
Okay. If you had to say, so you're going to be a part of it, right? You're going to actually try to, yeah, why not, right? And how do people sign up again? Do you remember?
I think Adonis said for the people who don't win the online qualifier tournaments, they'll be sending out like hey, if you're attending HRX, we'll reserve a spot for you type things.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, I do think they'll have open signups there. So like a person like myself will just go there and sign up even if I don't get invited. But yeah, like everybody knows me on stream as like a memer, as a joker. But I think this isn't confirmed. I am gonna be taking this tournament as seriously as I can, because like who doesn't want money?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why not even just to get the experience of it? Or what I have to say is the high res employees that I've talked to, I had a chance to talk to a lot on Twitter. Phenomenal. Adonis was amazing, and high res Nash, another person I've had dealings with this week. A lot of great people, very very friendly. So I think it'd be cool just to go there just to meet them. Because they're high quality people, high quality individuals, and they've been nothing but very helpful.
Yeah, all my experiences at HRX, like actually, again, this is a small thing, but like, I've always like, I love high res primarily because of my experiences at HRX, where you have like even you just like no matter who are actually like whether they're like officially associated with high res or there's like a volunteers helping or just like every employee, every person manning the event is just so like enjoyable and kind. Like it gets like it got me pumped. Like that's actually I think I referenced that in my college like like it was like my college little essay thing. Didn't get into college, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is the fact that I said like how inspirational that those people are, and it's like and like how passionate they are. So
Yeah.
on that level, you know, like, and that's why I'm more excited for HRX this year than ever. So
I mean, look, it's a Sunday night.
yeah,
Adonis working all week on this. He
well,
didn't have to be a part of it, so
he
he
didn't.
joined us, and
He
you
joined
know,
us.
and now here he said something. I wanted to touch with you about this. This was something we kind of had the show kind of a little bit off kilter, but we're back now. Aegean Outcast was he said he thought was going to be his favorite card. Was there a card for you of the 15, the big 15 that we announced
Yeah.
last week or talked about that stood out to you as, oh my God, that was much better than I expected, or that was much less than what I expected?
Well, I think the card that I think has the most ceiling, right? So if we're talking about most possible value, if you see it on my stream, I'm playing it a lot like Artemis. Like I didn't expect, but like one thing I didn't like Artemis is a very as well as she's RNG based, she's a risk, right? Like she's just she's what you like I call them, I call her a kakaguri or something like that where you just like place it down and you just hope for RNG. Like there's some times where I've gotten like my judgments, my arachnes, so that's 2 damage. And there's other times where RNG's in my favor. I get the Kakaguri and I get like 7 damage. Like I actually had a situation last night where my opponent's Artemis drew out their fire giant, so they killed my Artemis, and they ended up winning the game because of that Artemis. So I think she's a heavy swing card. I don't think you can really play around. I think like it's you can play around it, sure, but that damage output nobody knows. It's anybody's game, and that's something that's very interesting.
And what underwhelmed you?
Underwhelmed? To be honest, I haven't had a ton of like I haven't played around with it a lot, but honestly, I don't think I didn't. This is really weird. You'll never hear me say this very often, but there's really no underwhelming cards. Like I didn't find any cards. I'm just like, man, this card sucks. Like didn't really have any of that. All the cards were like barely usable. Now, granted, there's a lot of tech cards in there, but tech cards are not bad cards by any means. You know, they're in there for a niche, they're in there for a purpose, and you play them for that purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I have not. I didn't get a chance to play as much as I wanted to, so I didn't get a chance to see
Yeah.
a lot of change up. I did see a lot of Artemis, and generally
Yeah.
every Greek, yeah, a lot of
A
Artemis
lot of
there.
Greek as well on that matter.
A lot of Greek, yeah. Well, again, at my level now, I'm up at the 15s, anywhere from 25 to 15. A ton of Greek and a lot of Chinese pantheon. Um, but I saw a lot of Artemis. I saw a lot of
Yeah.
Artemis. And I didn't really see any super amazing combos with her. Although just that, you know, you could draw Fire Giant, that always
Yeah.
hurts. But a lot of times, I think I played her against 3 times, 2 times Chaos Spawn, 1 time Apollo. So I didn't really get a big, like, oh wow, that just killed me. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But it adds an element of RNG, which is interesting because there was a game I can't talk about that I played for a long time that was very un-RNG, like very
Yeah.
much straightforward resource management,
Well, like almost like chess type of thing, or
almost like that, almost like chess. But then it's not fun to watch. Like
yeah.
if you want people to watch it like yourself. You're very good on Twitch. If you haven't watched him, very entertaining stream.
I know,
PG
I
13
tried.
or higher for those who
Oh,
don't.
come on.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying, just like I'm, but no, very good. You're very entertaining. And I think you have to have RNG because that lets people like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, what is Artemis going to draw? Is it going to be a 2? Is it going to be an 8? Makes it much more exciting. And you as a player of some note, my dad, do you prefer less or more RNG?
As a player, I prefer Well, I prefer like obviously like a mix, right? I think there's certain levels of prediction that are required, but when I look at the game as a whole, no, like it. I think I think I forget who said this to me. I think it was either on Skate or Beelsbolt, but somebody said like it was after I beat them by RNG. They said if I wanted to play a game without RNG, I'd play chess. But and it's this aspect of games, online games, where you're trying to attract viewers, when you're trying to attract a certain level of of participation and viewership, right? You want there to be RNG because nobody wants to watch sheerly technical gameplay. While it's fun and it is it's very fun for the highest level players, for lower level players, it's sometimes not exactly enjoyable. It's like, oh, I have to learn this game entirely. Whereas RNG can really aid you in some situations. Now, granted, there's certain RNG aspects I really don't like how if you top deck Annihilation, you win the game pretty much, or like if you top deck a certain card, you win. But regardless, though, I do think that RNG is a necessity, and I think that blaming it obviously is very important. But as I always say, RNG is nobody's maiden. Like it doesn't matter who, how good you are. RNG can backstab you or it can aid you, and that's an aspect of card games, or primarily this game that I absolutely love.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, very good points, by the way. The thing with poker, like if you're sitting there playing poker, how many times do you lose an ace on the river, or it's always an element of
I've never
RNG
played
in a card.
poker, so
Oh, okay, well, never mind. Yeah.
my only
Uh,
card game experience before this was Pokemon cards. So I'm a god.
okay, all right. Well, we're learning something.
Play with
But
the peanut butter now. That's fun.
but see, okay, chess. You said chess. You play chess, right?
A little bit,
Yes.
barely
Okay.
any.
But who's gonna watch chess? I mean, I can guarantee you, if you watch Twitch, the most
I played Mario.
watched channels. Who?
Mario chess, where you have like
Wow.
the Yoshi, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser Jr.
Okay, all right. But it's not gonna be one of the top 10 channels on Twitch. Is ever gonna be chess?
No,
You're
no,
gonna see
it's not.
IRL. You're gonna see
Like-
another
like-
card game.
I guess not to bash chess here, but like you'll literally see like the chess tournaments and like the chess like online top whatever, and there's like 200 people watching it. There's only one channel streaming it, so it's like. Yeah, so like people like that RNG aspect, and that's why like traditionally Hearthstone has I think a lot of viewers. It's very open to
Yeah.
new players, and that's why like I always try to say, yo guys, wait a minute, the RNG there is fun, but it's almost borderline skillless. That's why I have so many people from my stream come over from Hearthstone because they do enjoy that skillful aspect that Hand of the Gods brings.
Yeah, and I didn't want to mention Hearthstone, but since you've done it, I mean, I might as well open a can. No, it's okay. No, I don't think it's a big deal. I just always try not to I don't want to, but
Oh,
there are games out there, CCGs like the ones you mentioned, that I've definitely taken a turn into almost pure RNG, and have lost their hardcore base. And I think that hardcore base, the super skilled players, are going to go to games like Hand of the Gods because there's RNG obviously, but there is a lot more tactical decision making in this game than other games.
Definitely, yeah. And that's an aspect I think even non-competitive players can enjoy much more about this game.
Yeah, I mean, I just love it for the mythology. I love mythology.
Yeah.
I studied mythology in college. I love mythology, so it's in my wheelhouse. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, we are down to the last 5 minutes. We're actually doing better on time this time than last time.
We're doing way better, yeah.
Yeah, we did really good. I kind of fumbled Adonis there. I don't know.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I did want him to be a part of the whole show, but then selfishly, I don't want. It's with his family. I don't want him to spend an hour with us. I mean, I wanted to, but
I mean, spending an hour with me, who wouldn't want to do that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, right? Plus, we have more hardy questions about, he likes, certain vegetables. What meats does he like? There's so many more ways we could have gone with that.
Yeah. Well, we could have, but hey, you get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit. My mom told me that one.
I thought it was an awesome interview. I was really happy.
Yeah. No.
So tell us about so when do you stream this week coming up?
I stream this week's maybe a bit funky, but I stream around 7 p.m. EST to like 10 p.m. EST, and then I try to aim for around 4ish on Thursday, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So in other words, Monday, Tuesday, 7 p.m. around I start, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I try to shoot for around 4. I mean, schoolwork though, being in college requires schoolwork, so I do have sometimes I have to like delay it, but for the most part, that's why I do try to start. I know it sucks for EU, so I'm sorry, but NA is better. So
yeah, so I am. I don't go to school, but I do have a job that I work till 7 p.m. CST. So I don't stream a lot. I will be doing this weekend. We have the high res qualifiers.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to the hopefully soon to be podcast, see how I'm kind of hinting at that. I'm not letting that go.
Yeah.
I keep on. I know like Jithan doesn't have enough to do, right? But podcast would be awesome. Hopefully we'll be doing that Saturday and Sunday. Smite Prime, this very channel you're watching here. We will have the Elimination Chamber. That's a different whole thing, I think.
I like that.
The Elimination Chamber down here. Even if I'm not a part of it, which would make me just sad, please watch it because it's amazing. And then we will be back. Follow us on Twitter because we will have updates
on that note. Are there any players you're excited to see compete? Like, obviously, you don't want the players to lose, so you can cast over them. But are there any players that you're like, man, I want to see what X brings to the table?
Yes, I want to see Myth Phasor.
Yeah.
And I know you're part of Myth, but he's just a really good player, and
I want to see Myth unscathed as well.
Unscathed, yeah. Unscathed. Janaru. I'm a big fan of Janaru.
Yeah.
I really like him. Bubbles.
Yeah.
So those are the guys I'm looking forward to seeing.
I'm excited to see what Mez and Arlo can whip up and do well with. I'm also excited to see what I'm excited to see what Beals and kind of whip up because we've seen like Arlo, Mez, and like that whole kind of category take a lot of these tournaments by storm. But I am excited to see some of the old souls get back in it, and hopefully, show they're gonna rip it up.
So that will do it. I'm gonna give you a sign off here in a second. But for me, signing off for the second episode of Talk of the Gods. Very, very honored to have Adonis here. He was really funny, really amazing guy. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Comcast, my partner. I'd like to thank Jithan, our producer. And Sinbreed, you are on next week, I swear to you. And so that's it for me, Sheep of the Cards. I'm going to kick it over to Comcast for a goodbye. And I hope to see y'all. We will make an announcement by Monday or Tuesday when our next show is.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll see you. I mean, I would like to stream. I'll figure it out. That's besides the point. I'll see you guys definitely next week. Hopefully at some point in time for Hand of the Gods or for Talk of the Gods. Make sure you follow the Talk of the Gods Twitter. Just talk of the Gods, so you guys can know any scheduling changes and when they will occur.
Well, actually, about that real quick, I think what we're going to do, just as I talk about that, we're going to actually have on Smite. Thank you for mentioning that. On Smite Prime on the website www.smiteprime.com. There's going to be a dedicated Talk of the Gods page. So that is where we're definitely going to put the podcast or anything we put on here, the YouTube video, we're going to put on that page. So that is where you want to go. Also, one of us on Twitter as well, or Jithan's. Thank you for reminding me about that. So Talk of the Gods, SmitePrime.com, Talk of the Gods. We're going to get more information there as soon as we can. And there you go. So you streaming tonight? Should they go to Twitch after this? For the after party?
I actually gotta grab some food, and then I'll be streaming. I guess I'll be streaming the Adonis waifu's new hashtag after party. Around probably like 8:30 or 8:40. So yeah.
Be there. Go for the after party. Thank you all for watching. It was an honor.
See y'all later.
Later.